What up, Razzballers? Welcome back to the program. We got another episode of the Waiver Ads and Trade Targets. Matty Stiles back off the bye week. Dave Cruz stepping in for Jefferson. We got the full crew for a try box this evening for the Week 11 Waiver Ads and Trade Targets right now on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the program. I am your host, Sky Guasco, Skyguasco. Matt Stiles, knocking off the rust. I like to see that back in full action here. That's Stiles 08. We're going to hear about the drink package. We've been talking about more than football pretty much on this program the last couple of weeks. Davey Cruz stepping in again. I mean, easily the sixth man of the ward already, pretty much locked up for Razzball this season. A number of quality pinch hits. And we got another one for you this evening. It's Cruiser128 on X. We got the waiver ads for week 11, and we got the trade targets. Dave's going to step in for Jefferson, hanging out with the family this evening. You can find everything Razzball on X at Razzball NFL, Razzball NFL. Subscribe right here to the YouTube channel. Hit that bell and make sure you don't miss any of our weekly videos. And, of course, you can hit us up on the podcast side as well, anywhere you listen to your audio, the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast Show. And all of our exclusive tools available to you for free, and all of our great writers and articles every single day available at football.razzball.com. And more than ever, it's important you join us on Sunday morning for the Start Sit Show. We had 5 of us coming in hot. Stiles is back as well. We got a number of us coming in hot this Sunday. 2 hours before kickoff, we got all of your start sit questions. We got hundreds of them coming through. Trade targets, weather reports, injury reports. We got it all for you right here on Razzball. So make sure you hit us up Sunday mornings, 2 hours before kickoff. Gentlemen, great to have you both in the place here. Davey, nice to have you back pinch hitting once again. Matty Stiles, it's been a couple of shows, my man. Great to have you back and back on land. Give us maybe the 15-second fastest 3 minutes. Chris Berman, you're on the clock.
Well, as you know, right, my history from Washington State University says I have been known to be able to tip a drink back every once in a while. I do it responsibly. Cruz is a different, and I don't mean Dave Cruz, I mean Cruz, C-R-U-I-S-E. It's just kind of a different vibe, a different world. And I will say that the wife and I decided after one drink on the cruise that we were getting the drink package. And let's just say that we did not lose our money. We lost brain cells. We lost probably life on our liver. And of the 7-night cruise, I officially took 3/4 of one day off from the boozing. So, but otherwise, I fought through and I survived. Maybe a nap here or there to get through. Plenty of what's in this cup, right? Plenty of water now that I'm home and trying to get my land legs back under me. But good time. Everybody was safe. Everybody had a good time. And we actually got to sleep in, nap from time to time. And then the ship I was on has a new bourbon bar. So we'll just leave it at that.
I like to see that. Dave, last time you were on a cruise, over under on the drink package?
I've never been on a cruise. I'm not a big boat guy. I like being on land too much. I don't mind being over it, but being on the water just doesn't agree with me.
Fair enough. I'll take you there. I haven't had any alcoholic beverages in longer than I can remember, but I'll tell you what, back in my day when I used to be cool, I'd probably go over on the drink package as well. And Matt, if you know you're going to go individuals, then you're going to be losing money quick. That's how they get you. So it's one of those like buy 36, get 48 free. You know what I mean? That's like one of those package deals. It's Costco
and
on the water.
Got on the ship and I said, I'm not going to do this. We're going to be good. Then the in-laws were there with the in-laws' best friends. And the first can was delivered to me at $9.84 for one Coors Light.
That's a pass.
And it cracked and the mountains were blue. And like Will Ferrell said, right, in old school, just, right when it hits you on the lips. And that's when I knew, right? I had morphed from Dr. Banner into the Incredible Hulk at that point. So it was I signed the check and we didn't look back from there. Again, I'm not a huge drinker anymore. Certainly don't do it at the house very often, but
sure.
I will be in detox mode probably through Turkey Day.
Yeah, I love it. And shouts out to our friends up in Pullman, Washington. getting it done. Go Cougs.
Yeah. And even though I haven't been on a boat, I've certainly done my share of drinking in my time. I spent 15 years in the hospitality industry, so
there you go.
Used to hang out with the bartenders. I knew who my friends were.
Yeah, yeah. If you're in any industry where you're hanging out doing most of your work after midnight, it's a different lifestyle. I've been on the road myself for 15 years doing music, and that's a different lifestyle. But
and Scott, interesting. Do you ever remember? I know you read Playboy for the articles when you were younger.
Of course,
they used to have a party school.
Oh yeah, of course. Chico and Santa Barbara and San Diego used to run it.
There three schools back in the day were retired from the list because they owned it. Can you name the three? And you have already mentioned two.
It's got to be Chico and Santa Barbara, and then I guess Pullman.
Washington State, Chico State, and the third one was University of Idaho, less than 9 miles away from
Moscow.
Pullman. And in Moscow, it was 18 and over in the late 80s is when that went away. So yes, we would simply take a cab across the state line and get into as much trouble as we could find.
Man, we will talk football. I promise everybody, but this is important. I've been playing music nationally all over every city, every state for 15 years. And oddly enough, Moscow, Idaho, John's Alley, shouts out to Vertical Dave, if anyone knows who I'm talking about, 7-foot owner of the bar, great sound guy, runs the place. But John's Alley in Moscow, Idaho is one of my favorite clubs, venues, concert halls, anywhere in the country that I play. It's super fun every single time. So big up Moscow, Idaho. That's awesome. And I got deep roots over there. Played a Renaissance fair. Good time. I love that. All right, let's move on here. We should, Bob says we have to talk football within 7 minutes or I get fired. We're at 7 right now. So from here on, we're talking football, folks. Good to have Matt Stiles back in the place. Davey Cruz stepping in one more time. Marius already in the comments section. I love that. We do have a question. We're going to get to all those, of course. But let's jump right into the Week 11 waiver ads. Last week, again, we covered the NFL trade deadline itself. Styles is not here for that, of course, but we did talk about that last week. So that's in behind us. And some of those guys did eventually pop off, which is great. Some trade deadlines in fantasy shouldn't be happening yet, but they are. I've already gotten 2 questions from some friends who are asking me about a trade deadline already this week. In my opinion, it's usually a Thanksgiving week thing that should be in your league, but if it's coming up soon, you got to make those moves right away. Make sure you don't get caught with your pants down there, not making your trades before that expires. So be careful there. Matt, it's all you, my man. I'm going to turn it over to you for the next few minutes. Give us your top waiver ad of the week, and then give us your highlight players for the rest of the positions. The floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, outside of the booze discussion, I hate to say this because we're trying to gain popularity and viewership and questions.
It's all about clicks, man. That's why we do this.
Yeah, all about clicks. This is a very weird – once you get into the double-digit weeks of waivers, I wouldn't call it necessarily a crapshoot other than to say it's pretty much a crapshoot. If your roster is not where you need it to be right now, you're probably not fighting for a playoff spot. However, there are a couple names that could help you out a little bit. The top of my ad of the week, only because of the quarterback situation and the fact that he had a 94% snap and 95% route share in week 10. Adonai Mitchell, University of Texas Longhorn wide receiver, coupling nice with Josh Downs and a little bit lesser Alec Pierce, who scored a touchdown. So if you need help at wide receiver, like if you're a T. Higgins manager or a Amari Cooper manager or a Chris Olave manager, then
how about
that's
Michael
a name
Pittman?
you should look at.
How about Michael Pittman manager?
Yeah, Michael Pittman as well. DK Metcalf, who's been down for a while, coming off a bye, so we hope that he's back.
Deontay Johnson.
I like Mitchell moving forward. I wouldn't blow too much fab, but at this point, how much fab could you have left, and how much are you? Again, if you have to make the playoffs to win the whole thing, so you got to get there to win it. Quarterbacks, it's pretty boring. Russell Wilson looking better now. The addition of Mike Williams will help, and George Pickens looking like he wants to maybe get to Hawaii or Orlando for the Pro Bowl this year. Derek Carr is back. Many people wrote him off, have forgotten about him, but he looked to throw the ball a little bit in week 10. Strangely enough, he threw the ball to MVS, who had been written off by a couple of teams. By the way, I wrote in the article, sure, we've been here before. You add MVS at your own risk. And by the way, don't be surprised when you get 2 for 19 and 0 touchdowns on 3 targets. He's a deep threat, but he's not great at football. I will tell you this, though. He's a very nice guy. Met him through Twitter. Hooked my soon-to-be what do they call it when your daughter marries a guy? Son-in-law, I guess is the
Son-in-law.
term.
Yep. Son-in-law.
Yeah, I don't really, and they're not even engaged yet, but it'll happen at one point. And he actually worked with MVS to come up with some branding. He does visual design. So I actually asked him the question. So is he? He goes, he's a really good dude. So shout out to MVS. I like that you're a really good person. You don't see that all the time in sports, but I'm not sure that he's going to carry you to a fantasy football title. Somebody help me pronounce this name, Audric Estime, I believe.
That's correct.
For the Broncos, leading the backfield in touches and carries. I don't know that I really want to rely on the Broncos moving forward in the playoffs, but if you've lost your running backs or you added a Ray Davis and thought he was the next coming of Tyrone Tracy Jr., he's not. So you may want to bolster your lineup a little bit with this Estime, and maybe at worst he is a injury handcuff, if you will. Jalen Warren only currently rostered in 51% of Yahoo leagues. I think he will get more run. By the way, he's healthy. He has more tread on the tire this year than Najee does because Najee's been running the entire backfield. So kind of a sneaky ad, 49% available. Who else do we have? I know this is going to make both of you dry heave. It is what it is. Aaron Jones is not a big running back. Aaron Jones has taken a couple rough shots to the chest. Actually was carted off in week 10, came back. But guess what? It's Cam Akers season again. I don't love it. You don't love it. It's a name that you have to consider, especially if you roster Aaron Jones or one of these other running backs that is either underperforming or simply on a bye. So you've got to at least consider the guy. Watch your injury report for Aaron Jones and see how he moves forward. Ty Chandler will stay in the same Ty Chandler role. So Cam Akers will be the gentleman moving up the charts. Jawan Jennings, by the way, for the San Francisco 49ers. Do we have any 49er fans in the building? Any 49er fans in the building? Just one? Just one. Jennings led the team in targets, even with CMC coming back. He's still probably the 4th best option, with Pearsall being the 5th best option behind CMC, Debo, and a tight end that looks just delicious to have on your roster right now, and that's George Kittle.
He's so awesome.
But Jawan Jennings should be rostered in every league at this point. Tight end, I write it in the article. I'm very serious when I say this. It's not flippant. Your guess is as good as mine. If you don't have one of the top 5, 6, 7 names, right, that does it every week, and that you don't get nauseous when you put that player in your starting lineup, then shoot for the stars. Go find a fun name. Go find a good matchup and do your worst. I think, for me, Kate Otten sitting out this week with the bye is going to sting across multiple leagues because he's been carrying me, especially in Scott Fishbowl. If you know that interesting scoring situation, tight ends are gold, and Kate Otten has been absolutely that player. So no real wrap up for me. It's boring, the waivers this week. What you're trying to do now is, if you know you're in the playoffs, you just need to make sure your roster is insulated from injuries, benchings, bad matchups, etc. And when I say bad matchups, you probably don't want to play a squad against the Denver Broncos defense. I don't know why, but they seem to be able to stop everybody. And I couldn't name a second player on their defense behind their really, really, really good cornerback. So, Dave, over to you. Sky, over to you. However we want to take this thing forward, but or we could address Mario's question because Estime is in his question.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that in a second. Neil Smith, Steve Atwater, Champ Bailey, Bill Romanowski for a while there. Solid defender.
Randy Gradishar.
Wow. Deep cut. Nice.
Tom Jackson.
Nice. Tommy Jackson. There you go.
Randy Gradishar was a great player.
Yes, he was. He would have fit in with the Steelers linebackers. He was so good.
I love that. Did he have teeth though? The Steelers linebackers
He
didn't
did.
really. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
That
believe Gradishar had full teeth.
Yeah, that was pre-mouthpiece era, so we just didn't do that. Pop quiz: who's the number 1 overall tight end in fantasy football right now?
I believe it's Travis Kelce, but it's probably actually George Kittle.
Dave, guess.
I think it's Kittle.
It is Kittle by 13 fantasy points overall and 17.5 average in PPR. He's far and away the best tight end per game right now, which is great. And Brock Bowers is the one behind him, and then Travis Kelce. Marius.
It's just awesome that Kittle's been healthy.
It is. That's all we've been needing. And that offense is just, a rotating door of whoever's next. But, man, Ricky P looks nice out there too, speaking about getting healthy. Marius wants to know Mostert or Estime. Mostert did not receive a rush on Monday Night Football. Estime took over for Javonte Williams, who had a single carry for 2 yards. Estime 14 for 53. Moving forward off the waivers, who do we want, Matt? Mostert or Estime?
I watched, on the cruise, I got snippets of the games throughout the day, and I don't know, man. Miami's weird. They want to throw the ball all the time, and they've got
Jalen
two
Waddle.
elite. At least I think they're elite receivers when they're on, Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and a pretty darn good tight end that's rounding into form there in Miami and Jonnu Smith. I love Mostert. They have 3 running backs that can take it to the house at any time, if you count Jalen Wright. But it's clear that this is Achan's backfield now. But man, I really like Mostert. Part of that is that he carried me to 9th place in Raz Bowl last year. Quick editor's note: I will not be moving forward across the cut line in Raz Bowl 6. So, suck it to everybody that's moving forward. I hate all of you.
Good sportsmanship.
To include Derek. Derek eliminated last night a well-known Jeff Erickson.
Oh,
yes.
Nice.
So Derek moved forward. Erickson below the cut line. So I think Estime is probably the better running back to roster right now, but I'd be hard pressed just because I do love Raheem Mostert to make the move. I say for Marius, if you're asking me as a non-biased fantasy analyst, which of course I am, I have no biases against the Chicago Bears or Caleb Williams or Mitch Trubisky or Jay Cutler or Brian Sipe. Actually, he didn't play for the Bears, but close enough. I would say Estime is probably the player that you want to go after.
Nice.
I meant Brian Sipe. No, I didn't. I meant Justin Fields. That was the name. How Brian Sipe rolled out of my. Again, we're going to call it the cruise hangover. Back to drinking water.
I will say, and not that I'm a Bears fan, because I hate to ruin our friendship over enjoying good football players, regardless of their team. But Brandon Marshall's prime, dude, was sick. Alshon Jeffrey had a few nice seasons there before his Cavs gave out as well. All right, we'll move on. I just double-checked myself. By 11 points, we'll be moving on to the playoffs in Raz Bowl. Made the cut line. I have 5 guys, Christian McCaffrey leading the charge, 5 guys that I drafted that immediately didn't play for about a month. Not good in best ball. That's not how it works in best ball, but it worked out. So I'm stoked on that. Shout out to my boy Jamie coming through here. We got a trade offer. Let's get a couple questions in, and then Dave, I'm going to turn you loose on checking in for the trades here. Again, Jefferson taking the night off, dealing with the kiddos. No big deal. He's got a family situation, so that's totally fine. And of course, we go family first here on the program, and then baseball, then college football, then of course fantasy football. In that order. Jamie wants to know here, we got a trade offer, not too sure about it. He got offered, this is a future trade, so we're looking dynasty here. We got a first next year, a first in 2026, and Rashee Rice, giving up Swift and A.J. Brown. So do you guys want 2 first-round picks in the next 2 years? Rashee Rice, who should play an entire season, assuming he's healthy and not suspended, which is looming, or Swift and A.J. Brown. Again, we're talking a couple years down the line here. Dave, I'm going to go to you first on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take the picks in Rashee Rice. I mean, he's a younger player. I know Swift has looked pretty good this year, but he tends to wear out his welcome eventually wherever he goes. So A.J. Brown's great player, no question, but, he's going on, 6 years in the league? You got Rice coming back next year. It's going to be his third year. I'll take the picks, and I'll take the younger player.
DeAndre Swift, 29.5 fantasy points in week 4, 20 in week 5, 20 or make it 22 in week 6, a bye week, 19 fantasy points, 14 fantasy points, and 7.5. DeAndre Swift has been one of the best fantasy running backs over the last month and a half outside of last week. But you're right, running backs are running backs in Dynasty, and A.J. Brown, solid, but 3 picks and Rashee Rice. I like that a lot. So, Jamie, I think we're going to go that. Stiles, just thumbs up or down. Do you agree there? Yeah, we'll take the picks and go with them there. Okay, let's go to a couple more here. Millie C. Got a dilemma, lost Prescott. Prescott done for the season, essentially. The Cowboys are done for the season. Eesh. Ugly. Too bad the Niners won't be able to beat them in the postseason this year. I always look forward to that. We got Rodgers in May. Should we pick up Nix and drop both of those guys? So basically, do you want Rodgers in May or do we want Bo Nix moving forward? I'll stay unbiasedly out of this one, Matt.
Currently, the best quarterback on the list is Bo Nix.
Yeah.
And if you can survive with 40 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns passing a game, and it be nice, milk toasty, boring fantasy football floor points, then I like Nix. I also like Drake May with the fact that he's got a lot of young receivers. They seem to kind of be heading in the right direction as far as attitude goes with the young receivers. Jalen Polk with a nice touchdown. I rarely shout out Washington Huskies, but he seems to maybe be getting a connection. Demario Douglas looks good. He's a little bit older than some of these young guys. Keyshawn Butte looks good, but I used to have a soft spot for Aaron Rodgers. Right now, I just revel in what's happening with the Jets. You asked for it, you sold your soul, and now you have to live with the devil. Aaron Rodgers is not good right now. He's actually the best quarterback on that list, but it's not 7 years ago. So you have to win now, and you have to put the best team you can fantasy-wise on the field. I would start that list with Nix. I would have May behind him, and I would probably send Rodgers to the trash heap. I don't know who you'd be dropping. If possible, to keep Nix and May, that would probably be my decision.
Dave?
Yeah, for me, I like Nix and May the best of the 3. I don't know what's going on with the Jets. I mean, the Jets against the Texans in the second half looked like things were coming together. And then they played this Sunday, and they just were a disaster out there. I mean, that game was just embarrassing for them. So, no, I'm not real keen on hanging on to Rodgers. I'd be looking for another quarterback, though, because the problem with both Nix and May is they're both off in week 14. So you're going to need a quarterback in week 14. So I like Nix and May the best, but you're going to need a backup there for somewhere. So you probably have to make a choice and pick up another guy, at least in week 13.
Dave stole my thunder. That was going to be my point there as well. It's really important at this point of the season, you start looking ahead to bye weeks. Early in the year, we got a lot of options and waivers are healthy and all these kind of things. But this time of year, it's really important, especially in super flex leagues. Our good friend Derek offered me a running back for a quarterback trade in Guillotine League. And in Guillotine, it's extra special that you have the super flex handled. And it's a super fair offer, and I would make it in any other circumstance except for the quarterback that I'm getting for this running back and vice versa have the bye week at the same time. And I can't afford that in any league, certainly not in a guillotine. So like the bye week is literally making the difference in this trade because I can't afford to eat that with what's going to be available on the waivers. So be careful with that. But I think, we all agree Nix, May, and then Rodgers. And don't look now. Drake May has been awesome on the ground as well. Bo Nix is the quarterback 6 since week 5. And Drake May is QB 17, but he's barely played a handful of those games as well. So they're both playing quite well, but Nix, May, Rodgers for us there as well. Tyler?
And just, Scott, if we cannot bring up that guillotine league through the end of the show today, that would be nice.
Not a problem. That was an accidental slip, and it was more of a shout out
it's
to our
for the
good
show.
friend. It was more of a shout out to our friend Derek than.
Yeah, you definitely want to beat where are those slips with a guillotine.
Exactly. That's true. Right on point, Dave. Tyler, good evening. Okay, Collins is back. Do we drop Dell for Judy or Bateman? Do we drop Dell with Nico Collins back? This is a redraft league.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, he says redraft deck. No, I'm not dropping Tank Dell for either of those receivers.
No, that's a no for me as well. I like both of them, but they're a lot deeper for me than Tank Dell.
Yep, I agree. Also, another question here. We got Ferguson and Otten. Would you drop Ferguson to make some bench space?
Tyler, between me and you, I'm going to clown you a little bit. You don't drop a player of either quality, Otten or Ferguson, for bench space unless said bench space, you have a plan for it. So let's not get silly. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We don't want to get in front of our skis. So if you have an idea for what that bench space will be, let me hear it. If you don't, then my answer is unequivocally no.
Yeah, I couldn't put it any better. That was perfectly on point.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Just make sure, again, there's a lot going down this time of the season, though. Like you might need a fourth running back or fifth wide receiver, something like that. So if you have somebody and a reason to do it, go ahead. But, obviously Kate Otten's the one we want to keep there. Marius is back.
Guy, is Tyler Sperry our Ravens Thanksgiving family guy from last year?
No.
Remember he was trying to pull off a Ravens trade last year, and he was going to have to take it to the Thanksgiving table, and we
I
never
do
heard
remember.
from him again.
So okay, Tyler, you can tune in here a little bit if this. I don't think it was Tyler. I do remember the scenario though. But I feel like Bob might have a. You think it's Tyler? Tyler, A, are you a Ravens fan? B, did you have a conflict last year that you brought up to us around Thanksgiving that you brought to the Thanksgiving table?
Then ghosted.
Then ghosted. Yeah, that was nice.
Okay, so that's him. Look at the memory.
There it is. Oh my goodness. Great.
Nice. you obviously didn't kill too many brain cells on the cruise.
No.
Man,
I can't remember my wife's name, but yes, I remember Tyler Sperry from.
We are here bringing families together over fantasy football trades.
So just so I don't get into too much
Jennifer.
trouble.
Yeah, for the record, you do know your wife's name. I just want to be clear there. You do have Otten. Ferguson's worth this without Dak, so he's working around that.
Okay, so what Tyler is doing here is Tyler's angry, right? That Dak got hurt and he had the Dak and Ferguson connection. I like that. Don't be angry. If you feel that Ferguson is not worth a start on your squad, cool. I get that. But have a plan if you're going to drop him. Don't just drop him for bench space.
Yes, I agree. All right. Tyler, last note here. I am a Ravens fan. It was Lamar for Allen and A.J. Brown. Think about that last year. Lamar Jackson for Allen and A.J. Brown. Crush it. Crazy. Marius is here. Juju got dropped. You guys remember Juju Smith-Schuster? Shout out to USC. He used to be really good on the Steelers back when Antonio Brown was the best player in football. Juju Smith-Schuster got dropped. Worth an ad, Dave?
If the league's deep enough, pretty much, I think Matt kind of proved the point with his column this week. Pretty much, you're adding just about anybody. There's not too many people I'm dropping to get Juju Smith-Schuster though.
And you mentioned Sky. Juju Smith-Schuster played at what college?
That's USC.
And that was in the Pac-10 at that time. There was a Pac-12 last year. There was a quarterback at that same university that got drafted number 1 by
the Bears.
The Bears. And there's 2 people on this panel that said, huge mistake. At the count of 3, those 2 analysts can raise their hand. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels saw it a mile away.
Caleb Williams has made DJ Moore worse than he ever was in Chicago or Carolina. You can't even name 3 of those quarterbacks not named Baker and Fields.
Which is a super bummer because that receiving core really is incredible. I mean, Keenan Allen, too, has had some, pops. Like, he's not done. He's older, but he's not done. Adunze is awesome, right? We don't talk about Huskies, but he's great.
After listening to you guys, I may drop DJ Moore for Juju.
Oh, God. Listen to what you just said. Like, I'm not even disagreeing. It's like
guillotine, Scott Fishbowl, Rasbowl, guillotine, DJ Moore, DJ Moore, DJ Moore, home league, DJ Moore, DJ Moore.
Great call on draft day.
Yep.
With the hype. I mean, and look, hey, the only thing I would say about DJ Moore, and we'll move on because we do have trade as well. We appreciate everybody jumping in the comments. Feel free to put any more in there if you'd like to. I'm going to turn Dave loose here in a second on the trades. The thing I will keep faith with, I think, next year on DJ Moore, I'm not going to draft him like a 3rd round pick or whatever he's been consistently, but like whatever, a wide receiver 2 or 3 to get him on my bench for PPR purposes. Terry McLaurin, if they can turn the corner with Caleb or somebody else and get DJ Moore proper, Terry McLaurin had been waiting in fantasy football for a quarterback, and we all kind of like let it go. He fell to like the 10th round this year because people were tired of it. He got a quarterback. The dude's like the 3rd best wide receiver in fantasy football right now. So DJ Moore is that guy talent-wise, and he had some 1,000-yard seasons in Carolina. But yeah, it's been pretty brutal there, unfortunately. Let's get into trade talks here. We do have second half of the show here. Again, you're watching the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. You can find us on X at Razzball NFL. Subscribe right here to the YouTube channel. Catch us every single Sunday, 2 hours before kickoff for your start sit questions. You can listen to us on the podcast as well. The Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast Show, anywhere you listen to your audio, and all of our exclusive tools and great writers and articles available for free at football.razzball.com. Razzball, RAZZBALL. Davey Cruz, I'm going to turn you loose on some trades. Give us some buys, give us some sells heading into week 11.
Okay. My 2 buys are from the same team. I like to target players that are on their bye weeks when I want to buy somebody. And Tampa Bay is 4th in the league in points per game, and they're 8th in the league in yards per game on offense. They're a great offense. I love Baker Mayfield. He is just, to me, the perfect Baker Mayfield play was the one where he held off Nick Bosa with one hand and then completed a pass for a first down. Superhero stuff. So my first buy is Bucky Irving. Not a super exciting name, but Bucky's been running back 20 for the last 4 weeks. And he's got 52 carries, 245 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. He's had 18 targets that he's caught every single one for 142 yards in that game. I'd love to get 14 or 15 points a game out of my running back too. And if I could get that out of the flex, I'd be ecstatic. The schedule coming up is pretty tasty as well. They've got the bye this week, of course, like I mentioned, but then they're at the Giants, who are about middle of the pack for running backs. Then they've got Carolina twice. They've got them in week 13. They're first for running backs to play against. Then they've got the Raiders at home. They're 7th. Then they've got a tough one in LA against the Chargers, who are the 3rd best against running backs. But then they got Dallas, who are the 5th friendliest, and then they have Carolina again in the championship week. So I'm buying Bucky Irving. Then my other buy is going to be Cade Otton. He's actually been the tight end 1 over the last 4 weeks. He's got 39 targets, 30 receptions, 293 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And his schedule coming up after the bye is they've got the Giants, which one thing the Giants do is they defend pretty well against the tight end. They're about the 4th best team against the tight end. But then they've got Carolina, who's 1st for tight ends, the Raiders, who are 5th for tight ends. Then they've got the Chargers, who are actually middle of the pack against tight ends. Dallas is a little bit, once we get to the playoffs, they got the Chargers, then Dallas is pretty good. They're top 10, top 11 against tight ends. But then championship week, they got Carolina again. And that's just, let's go. I'm taking them. My sells are going to be Deebo Samuel, who we were talking about, and I think I'm selling Deebo because I think he's got good value, but he's probably a little bit over priced for me. But I think I could get a good trade in return. He's had 11 carries for 44 yards in the last 4. He's had 18 targets, 12 receptions, 235 yards, and a touchdown. I think he did miss a game in there. Their schedule down the stretch, they've got Seattle, which is good against wide receivers. They're 8th. Then they're at Green Bay. Green Bay is the 22nd best defense against wide receivers. Then they're at Buffalo, who's 25th. Then they've got the Bears. This is going in towards the playoffs. Then they got the Bears that are second best against wide receivers. If you get past there, you're fine. They've got the Rams, who are 11th. They're 11th friendliest defense against wide receivers. Miami's tough. They're 26th. And then they've got the Lions in the championship week, who are the second friendliest defense versus wide receivers. And my other sell will be Mark Andrews, who, again, has been picking it up of late. Over his last 5 games, he has 22 targets, 20 receptions, 236 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I just don't think he's going to be worth more than he is right now. And down the stretch, they've got Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh. They're 16th against tight ends. They got the Chargers, who are 15th against tight ends. Then Philly, who is 30th. And then their bye week is week 14. Then after the bye in the playoffs, they've got the Giants, who are, I've already said, are 29th against tight ends. They got Pittsburgh again at home, who are 16th. And then the championship, they're at Houston, who is the worst defense to play if you're a tight end.
I was just trying to think through this because you're bringing up some hot names. Okay, first of all, I want to clear the air. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. You love Jennifer first because at this point you're legally obligated to do so. So no matter what, Jennifer's got your top spot there. After that, it's probably Gilbert Brown, but then it's Baker Mayfield. So Dave, you're just gonna have to get in line just right behind Matt in loving Baker Mayfield, just because he was there first. Baker Mayfield, number 10 quarterback last year. Somebody said he was going to be top 12. He ended up doing that. We don't really talk about it this year, but it happened. This year, Baker Mayfield is accidentally the number 2 quarterback on the season, folks, behind the one and only MVP in Lamar Jackson. Baker Mayfield is a dog. And I'll tell you what, Niner fans were sweating not only because Jake Moody came back a little hungover from his own cruise, but Baker Mayfield was on his way to beat us when he should have beat Mahomes the week before. Yeah. Bucks are looking good. Baker looks great. You brought up Cade Otton. I love it, but dude's a dog. The only thing I was thinking is, would you sell Mark Andrews for Cade Otton? Andrews plays this week. Cade Otton doesn't, but you didn't have to fill your position because the Bucks are off. Maybe Tucker Kraft comes back off or something. You got to get one of those like Jonnu Smith you scoop or something. You got to get somebody off of the tight end waivers, which is tough. But would you make that trade directly if you could, Dave, and then just like hope for the best on a waiver tight end this week to get Otton for Andrews?
Yeah, I mean, they both have bye weeks, and if I've got to replace a guy, I'd rather replace him now than in like the last week of the regular season or the first week of the playoffs. And to tell you the truth, the opportunities are night and day, right? Otton over the last 4 weeks has had 39 targets. Andrews has had 22. He's cashed him in a lot, and Lamar loves him in the red zone. But like I said, I don't think Andrews' value is going to go up from here.
Okay. Got it. All righty. And let's see. I like your other ones there too. I mean, again, a lot of these are calculated, but you just got to be careful. And of course, we're just going to throw up an O real quick for Bucky Irving. I don't want that to slip by us for all of our Duck viewers out there.
And as far as the Bucks go, if they hadn't played like the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the 49ers in the last 4 weeks and lost 4 games in a row, including a tough one against the Falcons for the second time this year, I don't think we get Baker as an MVP, but he certainly would deserve some consideration. I mean, the Bucs are only 4-6 now, so there's nothing there. But he's played great. It's great to see that redemption story.
And with that, I mean, you got to give him an extra shout out because he's without Chris Godwin and Mike Evans this entire time, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
For the last couple weeks or whatever, So hopefully Big Mike comes back here. Godwin obviously done for the season, but we'll see what happens there. All right, Matt, any thoughts there on the trade targets?
There should have been a way to cue redemption song when Dave said redemption story. Right? If we would have
I'll look at that. I'll look at that in production.
I'll have to ask management. I don't think we own the rights to redemption song, but boy, wouldn't that have been a nice cue to hear in the background?
Nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No,
I agree.
Harley's always welcome.
Yes,
Yep.
I agree. I think those are two really good ads. I think Rachaad White is a really sneaky, probably cheap ad because his numbers don't look great, but he catches the ball. He scores a touchdown here and there. Mike Evans will be back in week 12
after the
That's
bye.
the plan. Let me ask this open-ended. Do the Buccaneers have an opportunity to win their division?
Oh, the South's always up for grabs, right? I mean, I think the Falcons should hold it down, but they're the Falcons.
God, did the Falcons kick away their chance to take that division over?
So because they do have a chance, and the Falcons don't play the Bucs again, by the way, what are Kirk Cousins' two best games by far this season, both against the Bucs?
Yeah.
The Buccaneers can tweak a little bit on defense. They get Mike Evans back. They continue to run and gun like they have been. That stretch that Dave mentioned, those 4 games, especially leading up to and during your fantasy playoffs, Baker Mayfield could win you your league paired with Bucky Irving and Cade Otton in your starting lineup.
Yeah. And it's weird to think about multiple players from a team that's not the Chiefs or Lions or something. But, a couple years ago, we had like Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and Todd Gurley. All 4 of them, or not Matt Stafford, I'm sorry, Jared Goff at the time. All 4 of them, though, were like playable every single week in that league. Tyler Higbee, too, back in the day with that Rams team. Like, it's not impossible if the team's humming the way they are. And they are. The Bucs are actually throwing the ball an incredible amount through the air, too. So.
Yeah, their defense is bad enough that they'll have to score a ton of points to stay in games.
And that's why fantasy football is fun. I don't care if the team wins the game. I care that there's a negative game script and they have to do what my fantasy team needs them to do. And from being down here in Tampa and watching that, Baker's just a different dude. And Cade Otton is right? No gloves. He looks like a pro wrestler. He's got the fingers are taped up like a. Yeah, it's a nice thing to watch. Bucky Irving, I can't remember offhand where he went to college.
Hold on a second.
Their mascot
Eugene, Oregon.
Their mascot rhymes with Tuck.
Justin Tuck.
That's right.
Justin University.
Yes,
now that you said it, University of Oregon. It's just south of Corvallis where the Beavers play, but it's the other one.
Yeah.
Even the Beavers, one of 2 teams left in the Pac-2.
The Pac-2.
Pac-2 going hot. Go Cougs, right?
Number 20 ranked Cougs. 8-1.
Love to see that.
They're reassembling. What do they got? Fresno State or something joining them next year?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Hawaii and BYU and all that. We'll see what happens. But I was going to talk baseball, but we just hit college football, and I can't do both back-to-back. It's in my contract. Bob will get weird, so I got to move on. Falcons, 6-4. Bucks, 4-6. Saints and Panthers, 3-7. The Buccaneers feel like a top 10 team in the NFL. They're one game from blowing it and being behind 2 of the worst teams in the NFL in their own division. The Saints and the Panthers feel like dog doo-doo.
Yeah.
And the Buccaneers feel like top 10.
Sorry. The fact that the Panthers aren't out of it makes me just want to cry.
Yeah. I mean, that's the NFL though, it happens that way. Speaking of defenses, I want to get here. Tyler's got another question here. Again, people always apologize for DST and kicker questions. Folks, it's equal opportunity here on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. We're here for everybody. You got DST Qs, we got you. You got kicker Qs, we got you. IDP, Dave Cruz got you. You come in hot, we got you covered. All right, we got a defensive question here. We got the Bears, the Texans, the Broncos, leaning the Broncos and Texans. The Bears, break this down for you here. You don't start the Bears defense. I mean, that's just me. Texans have got at Dallas without an offense, so I like that matchup. And the Broncos have been playing very well as well. They're playing home versus Atlanta, who does have a nice offense there. The Bears are playing Green Bay. Green Bay coming off fresh there as well. For me, this is the Texans, easy peasy.
Yeah, one week for me, it's the Texans. Long term, probably the Broncos.
Yeah, I don't want to pick too much on Cooper Rush. Both of his bad games have come against Philadelphia. So
you mean Trey Lance?
Exactly. It's still a deep dive. I'd still go the Texans against the Cowboys.
Yeah, and no shade to Gingers, obviously. Like it's not the hate on Cooper Rush at all. He's just bad. That's why we don't like him. To clear the air there. But North Dakota State alum, probably coming in hot for the Dallas football Cowboys. We'll see what happens with my boy Trey Lance. I still have his jersey, by the way, on accident. That's a good one. All right, Frizz Ill. We got Otten and Murray on a bye. We want to start Ferguson and Gesicki this week. Then we have May and Winston. Dave, I'll go to you first here.
I probably will pick up May over Winston this week. I'm keeping on if T. Higgins doesn't repair his wallet by Sunday, I'm probably going to go with Gesicki. Otherwise, I might throw a dart at Ferguson in what might be a more friendly matchup.
Ferguson at home, Dallas at home versus Houston, which we just mentioned, and Gesicki at the Chargers this week there in Cincinnati. Matt, what do you think?
Ferguson and give me famous Jameis at New Orleans inside. Let's throw the ball all day, both sides.
Yeah, I agree.
Revenge game.
Exactly. Love those, especially for Jameis, because he'll go nuts for just being ridiculous. Jesse, good evening. Just traded Andrews for Amari Cooper. I got Otten and Gesicki. Thoughts on Cooper going forward? Had to get rid of a tight end before the trade deadline tonight. Again, folks, there it is. Hot off the press. A week 11 trade deadline. Too early for my mustard, but I don't run this league. Obviously, we have trade deadlines coming up. You have to be careful about those. Great, Jesse, for making a move and just being aware of that. Matt, how do you feel here about Amari Cooper in general? And what do you think here about, we just talked about Otten and Gesicki, but how do you feel about Amari coming in?
If Amari Cooper's healthy and he knows the playbook, which, by the way, the last 2 weeks, all he's been able to do is study the playbook, he should be fine. I think Josh Allen's going to have to get into late season Josh Allen form and start throwing the ball a little bit more. But the first thing I want to do is I want to tell Jesse, love the profile picture. Bro, yeah. You are in such good
major points, bro.
Position with your wife by putting that profile photo up. Good for you. I love it. Actually, you know what? Wait a minute. Jesse could be the wife.
Jesse probably is the wife, actually, now that I recalculate this. That makes more sense. Nice.
With the photo, and yeah, you know what? I'm not going to ask. It's not my business. Mm-hmm. I don't love trading Andrews for Cooper, but I think with a 1 week filler with Gesicki and Otten to be there in the playoffs, I'm okay with the move. Dave.
Yeah, I'm fine with the trade as well. It's no secret that you've got to get rid of a tight end, so you're probably not going to be able to get a super high player back for Andrews. I think Cooper's still got something in the tank, and he's going to have opportunities to smash before the season's over.
Yeah, it's tough for Amari Cooper because, first of all, let's go back in time here a little bit. He gets traded in week 7 to the Bills, catches a touchdown that week on a broken play that he figured out, which is cool. After that, 2 targets for a reception up in Seattle. That's garbage. He got hurt there. Missed Miami, missed the Colts, comes back against the Chiefs this week. Don't love that. It's a playoff matchup atmosphere, obviously, with the Bills and the Chiefs, but I don't really love the matchup there in Spags. Has a bye week in week 12. Then he goes against the 49ers. And then on the road, West Coast versus the Rams. So just kind of a not awesome scenario with Amari Cooper. But if you again, you have Otten, you don't need Andrews. I think you're okay with that. And Jess, we're just kind of busting your cajones there, my man. But again, big bonus points there for throwing the misses in the profile pick. So you can, tell her that you're just getting the boys to compliment the dress instead of taking too much time on the fantasy football. Like, well done, dude. Nice play there. All right, folks, we're coming to a close here. You got about 39 seconds to let us know if you have any more questions here for week 11. We're going to tune it in here. Matty Stiles coming in off a couple week bye. That's Stiles 08. I got you. Stiles 08 on X. Cruiser, the real cruise, if you will. Cruiser 128. My name is Sky Guasco. We do have a round of Guess the Hat. Matt's been on bye for a few weeks. I mean, so many things could have happened. Baseball season's over.
We had an election. I hear while I was on the cruise, we had a national election.
We did, but that same night we had the NFL trade deadline, so we were totally oblivious.
Probably why I didn't see any of the.
We had no idea that was even happening.
I'll have to Google it.
Guess the hat. Okay, it's been a couple weeks. Could have been a new program. It's obviously baseball, which I appreciate that decal. And you know what? Dave's a gamer too. Dave hasn't played the game yet. Dave's gonna get a guess here as well. Darker cap. Can you just lean forward just a little bit? Just okay. That's blue and red. They're all blue and red. It's ridiculous. The blue dot up top though. So I'm gonna go Red Sox, Braves, or Cardinals. You're in the South these days. I'm gonna go Braves. Dave?
I'm gonna take a shot on the Red Sox.
All right. You're both wrong. I will give you one clue. City Connect. This is a
Giants
place
is so bad. I hate the Giants one.
Okay, so remember,
it's not orange, so it's not the Giants.
No.
I have lived in the South, not necessarily Florida.
Well, I went Georgia. Who else is down to Texas? Is it Astros?
Well, Jefferson is the Astros fan. So
yeah, I know, but I'm thinking the South and like who else is down there? Tampa, I guess, obviously.
The winner is okay. I still don't know what it is.
Oh, Texas. Wow. The City Connects. Okay, there you go. The TX 421 Rangers.
That is a nice City Connect hat.
That was a deep cut, dude. I had no chance on that one.
That is a nice get there.
Yeah, I was thinking Juan Gonzalez, Pudge, Rafael Palmeiro, like nice blue, a little red and white there. You
mean Aaron Seeley?
Right. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I can dig it. All right, Texas Rangers it is this week. Shouts out to Davey Cruz stepping in for Jefferson. We appreciate that. Appreciate everyone tuning in with us for a lengthy one. It was good to have Matty Stiles back. We got the full squad back in action. Wishing Jefferson the best with the fams as well. Of course, I'm your host, Sky Guasco. We got Matty Stiles and Dave Cruz. Everything here on Razzball available for you at football.razzball.com. We'll catch you Sunday morning, 2 hours before kickoff for your start and sit inquiries. Make sure you check it out. Best of luck to everybody. Be careful on bye weeks and be careful on your trade deadlines. Best of luck to everybody in the Razz Bowl. First week to set lineups. Do not forget to do that. Best of luck to everybody. We will catch you next time on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. Have a great night, everybody. We are out of here.